making headlines. The president states that the UNGA decision to grant Palestine full membership is a historic achievement in the fight for justice for the country. The foreign minister affirms that significant strides have been made in expediting projects initiated in the Maldives with financial assistance from the Indian government. And the defense minister discloses that the 76 Indian militants stationed in the Maldives have been successfully redeployed. Welcome to the English News. I'm your host Malak Ahmad Fayaz. Now for the news in detail. President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu states that the United Nations General Assembly's decision to grant Palestine full membership in the United Nations is a historic achievement in the fight for justice for the country. He made the remarks on a social media post following the adoption of the resolution for Palestine's full membership. President Dr. Muizzu commended this significant development, emphasizing the enduring resistance and bravery of the Palestinian people. The Maldives reaffirmed its steadfast commitment to supporting the aspirations of Palestine for sovereignty and independence, echoing the sentiment shared by many nations. In his statement, President Muizzu reiterated Maldives' unwavering advocacy for an independent Palestinian state, with East Jerusalem as its capital in accordance with the pre-1967 borders. The resolution, co-sponsored by Maldives, secured an overwhelming majority with 143 votes in favor. Notably, Maldives denounced the misuse of veto power in the UN Security Council, further amplifying the global call for justice for Palestine amidst ongoing challenges. As Palestine advances towards full membership in the UN, supported by nations like the Maldives, the international community stands united in championing the rights and aspirations of the Palestinian people on the world stage. Minister of Foreign Affairs Musa Zamir affirms that significant strides have been made in expediting projects initiated in the Maldives with financial assistance from the Indian government. Following his official visit to India at the invitation of Minister of External Affairs S. Jaishankar, Minister Zamir said that a spectrum of initiatives across the nation has been kick-started through loans and grants from the Government of India during the previous administration. He emphasized the current government's commitment to prioritizing the resumption and completion of these projects. He also underscored his dedication to this endeavor during his recent visit to India. Additionally, Minister Zamir disclosed that both ministers engaged in bilateral discussions on May 9th to address pivotal matters aimed at expediting the projects. He underscored the discussions with Minister S. Jaishankar, focusing on the operational dynamics of the committees entrusted with executing these projects. During the official discussions between the two nations, Minister S. Jaishankar reiterated the significance of India's ongoing projects in the Maldives. Minister of Defense Mohammad Ghassan Mahmood reveals that all the Indian military troops previously stationed in Maldivian platforms were effectively redeployed due to the strategic decision-making skills and critical thinking of President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu. The remarks were made by the minister during a press conference held to officially announce the redeployment of all Indian militants. Addressing the media, Minister Ghassan disclosed that a total of 76 military personnel was stationed across 3 platforms in the Maldives. The 3 platforms include Hanimadu in Hadal Atoll, Garninaddu City and Kaddu in Lam Atoll. The minister further confirmed the successful withdrawal of all foreign troops in the country by the deadline set by the government, which was May 10th. Minister Ghassan stated that the successful redeployment of the troops through a series of discussions in a small period of time were attributed to the critical and strategic thinking of President Dr. Muizzu. Minister of Defense Mohammad Ghassan Mahmood discloses that the 76 Indian militants stationed in the Maldives have been successfully redeployed. The redeployment of foreign troops from the nation is a commitment of President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu. The withdrawal of the Indian military troops stationed by the May 10th in the Maldives, as per the pledge of President Dr. Muizzu, were officially announced today at a press conference held at the President's office. The troops were redeployed in batches, with the first batch redeployed in March. This was followed by the withdrawal of the second batch of militants in April and the last batch on May 10th. Details on the withdrawal of the foreign troops are as follows. In March, a total of 26 soldiers were stationed in Gan Addu city were redeployed, with 12 militants redeployed on March 7th and 14 militants on March 9th. Meanwhile, 25 military personnel in Hanimadu Hadal Atoll withdrew, with 13 soldiers redeployed on April 7th and 12th on May 9th. The troops stationed in Kaddulam Atoll were redeployed, with 12 personnel withdrawing the platforms on May 7th and 13th by May 9th. Speaking at the press conference, Minister Gassan revealed that the foreign soldiers working at Senahia military hospital are doctors and there were no plans to redeploy them. The minister assured that these soldiers were not involved in any military roles. Special advisor to the President Abdul Rahim Abdullah affirms that the attempts of creating division within the current administration will not be successful. The remarks were made by the special advisor on a post circulated on social media aiming to address the rumors spread regarding the government. On the post shared on social media, Abdul Rahim observed the intense attempts of spreading rumors against the government. Despite these efforts, he revealed that the parliamentary election proved the amount of faith and confidence the residents had in President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu. Abdul Rahim stated that President Dr. Muizzu was backed by a strong and dedicated team assuring the expedite progress and development during the president's tenure. The Ministry of Finance reveals that the government revenue has surpassed $713 million so far this year, which is a 3.7% rise compared to the same period last year. The latest statistics released by the Finance Ministry showed that the revenue reached $713 million as of April 25th, which is an increase from $693 million received during the previous year. The statistics show that the breakdown of the revenue reveals $600 million from taxes, $116 million from non-tax sources, and $3 million from grants. Tax income primarily stems from import duties, business and property taxes (BPT), and goods and services tax (GST). Government expenditure for the year totaled $817 million, a notable decline from the $1 billion spent during the same period last year. The spending encompassed $630 million in recurrent expenses and $181 million in capital outlays. Recurrent costs included $207 million for salaries and allowances, along with $408 million for administrative outlays. Capital expenditure primarily focused on structural developmental projects. Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Hussain reveals that information and relevant data for over 532 immigrants have been collected under Operation Kurangi. The remarks were made by the minister on a post shared on social media. Operation Kurangi is an initiative undertaken by the government aiming to address the issue of illegal immigrants in the Maldives. Operation Kurangi launched its first phase on May 2nd in Himmafushi Atoll. The post-initial phase of the operation includes biometric identification procedures which will target undocumented immigrants, culminating in their deportation through coordinated efforts with the respective embassies. Minister Hussain revealed plans to launch operations in additional 5 areas in the nation simultaneously in the near future. The minister also expressed his appreciation towards Himmafushi Island Council for their support and assistance in conducting the operation. During the inauguration of the operation, Minister Hussain outlined the objectives of the operation aiming to resolve the illegal immigration challenge within a 3-year time frame. As a primary measure, he said that the ministry will embark on a data collection initiative gathering fingerprints, photographs and pertinent information of all foreign residents within the Maldives over the course of a year. Furthermore, Minister Hussain stated that the information collected during the first phase of the operation is not for the sole purpose of taking action against the illegal immigrants. The minister stated that the opportunities will be provided to illegal immigrants such that they can enter the Maldives legally. Minister of Social and Family Development, Dr. Aishat Shiham, reveals the government's aim of ensuring the Maldivian society is a safe and secure environment for children. The remarks were made by the minister in a special message given commemorating World Children's Day. Minister Dr. Aishat Shiham underscored the government's overarching objective of ensuring the community provides the necessary care and attention to children. The minister further stated that building a society which ensures the provision of care and support to children is also a target of the government. In the message, Minister Dr. Aishat Shiham conveyed heartfelt felicitations celebrating World Children's Day. The Maldives National University MNU announces a call for contractors to undertake the construction of the medical school and teaching hospital, a project jointly funded by the Pakistan government. MNU has also unveiled plans for the establishment of a comprehensive medical infrastructure, including a medical school, teaching hospital, Faculty of Health Sciences, and School of Nursing. The medical school and teaching hospital will adhere to university-provided blueprints, while the School of Nursing and accommodation block will follow a design and build approach. The opportunity to submit proposals for the two projects are open until May 24th. The medical school, equipped to accommodate 100 students simultaneously, will boast state-of-the-art amenities. Meanwhile, the teaching hospital, envisioned as a 300-bed facility equipped with cutting-edge technology, aims to deliver top-tier patient care. The facilities are slated for construction in Hurumale, with MNU earmarking 5,700 square meters of land for their development, including dedicated student housing within the hospital precinct. MNU also plans to construct separate buildings for the Faculty of Health Sciences and the School of Nursing, spanning 69,000 square kilometers. The structures will include additional amenities such as accommodation, sports facilities, and a conference hall, all outlined with modern conveniences. Taiwanese chip giant TSMC says that April revenue jumped nearly 60% on-year, riding a huge wave of demand for the advanced semiconductors used in AI hardware. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company controls more than half the world's output of chips and supplies them for everything from Apple's iPhones to Nvidia's cutting-edge artificial intelligence hardware. The firm said in a statement that consolidated revenue for April was approximately $7.2 billion, an increase of 59.6% from April 2023. This compares with a 34.3% on-year jump in March. The company said last month that first quarter revenue increased 13% on-year to $18.87 billion and expects a 27.6% rise in the second. The wild success of OpenAI's ChatGPT has sparked an AI gold rush, with demand surging around the world for the cutting-edge chips needed to train and run AI services. TSMC dominates the global chip industry, and the bulk of its fabrication plants are based in Taiwan, a self-ruled island that is claimed by neighboring China. Beijing has said it would not rule out the use of force to bring Taiwan under its control, and has in recent years ramped up pressure by sending in record-breaking numbers of warplanes and naval vessels around the island. The semiconductor supply chain is highly vulnerable to shocks, and concerned governments have lobbied TSMC to move more production away from Taiwan. The United States in particular has made a huge push, passing the CHIPS and Science Act in 2022 to overhaul the semiconductor industry on American soil. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo said during a U.S. House hearing on the department's budget that an invasion of Taiwan by China and a seizure of TSMC would be absolutely devastating to the American economy. The UN General Assembly, UNGA, votes overwhelmingly to grant the Palestinians additional rights in the global body and back their drive for full membership, which is blocked by the United States. Israel's UN ambassador, Gilad Erdan, reacted angrily to the largely symbolic vote, while Palestinian ambassador to the UN, Riyad Mansour, said it was historic. With the war in Gaza raging, the Palestinians in April relaunched a request dating back to 2011 to become full members of the United Nations, UN, where their current status is that of a non-member observer state. To succeed, the initiative needed a UN Secretary-General green light and then a two-thirds majority vote in the General Assembly. But the United States, one of the 5 veto-holding members of the Security Council, and Israel's closest ally, blocked it on April 18th. Before the vote, Palestinian Ambassador Mansour said that he has stood hundreds of times before at this podium, but never for a more significant vote than the one about to take place, an historic one. He added that the day will come after Palestine will take its rightful place among the community of free nations. But Israeli Ambassador Erdan fired back, saying the UN Charter was being abused and making his point by putting a printout of the Charter throughout a shredder as he stood at the podium. The United States opposes any recognition of statehood outside of a bilateral accord between the Palestinians and Israel, whose right-wing government is adamantly opposed to a two-state solution. U.S. Deputy Ambassador to the UN Robert Wood said after the resolution passed that while their vote does not reflect opposition to Palestinian statehood, it remains the U.S. view that unilateral measures at the UN and on the ground will not advance this goal. The resolution gives the Palestinians additional rights and privileges starting in the next session of the General Assembly in September. Kylian Mbappe confirms that he will leave French champions Paris Saint-Germain at the end of the season, with Real Madrid widely expected to be his next destination. The announcement brings an end to a prolific association with his hometown team, which began when he signed with Monaco in 2017 in a deal worth €180 million. Mbappe said in a video posted on social media that he wanted to announce that it is his last year at Paris Saint-Germain, and the adventure will come to an end in a few weeks. PSG have already secured the Ligue 1 title, their 10th in the last 12 seasons, and the Qatar-owned club will pick up the trophy after Sunday's game, which will be their last of the campaign on home turf. Luis Enrique's side were eliminated from the Champions League by Borussia Dortmund in the semi-finals on Tuesday, when a 1-0 loss in the second leg at home sealed a surprise 2-0 aggregate defeat. It means Mbappe will be denied the send-off he had hoped for in the Champions League final at Wembley on June 1st and will end his 7-year spell at PSG without ever having won Europe's elite club competition. Mbappe informed PSG privately in February of his intention to depart when his contract expires at the end of the current campaign. The 2018 World Cup winner had never confirmed publicly he was leaving, though far less said where he will be going next, but it appears certain that he is bound for Real Madrid. Spanish media have claimed for several months that Mbappe signed an agreement which would see him join the League of Champions in July once his PSG deal runs out. Mbappe's arrival in the capital as a teenager in 2017 came after he had helped Monaco win the league title. After initially joining PSG on loan, his transfer fee became, and still is, the second largest in football history. Before T-Rex can tower over museum visitors or Triceratops can show off its huge horns, dinosaur fossils must first be painstakingly reconstructed, cleaned, fit together, and even painted. For U.S. restorationist Lauren McLean, the process is like putting together a giant 3D puzzle. McLean's job begins at a home workshop near Houston, Texas, where she carefully clears away dirt struck to the more than 60-million-year-old remains using a tiny drill with an air compressor similar to a dentist's tool. Then she must assemble this ancient puzzle, even though pieces are almost always missing. She molds fillings for the lost parts, plugging the holes and repairing the nicks that have appeared in Edmontosaurus femurs or megalodon teeth over millions of years. She has even worked on a fossil from a 200-million-year-old Eurypterida or sea scorpion. McLean doesn't actually like puzzles very much, she says. She says that when it turns into a dinosaur, she can get down with those kinds of puzzles. Many of the giants McLean reconstructs once roamed the land which is now the United States, ranging from Florida in the southeast all the way to Montana and the Dakotas in the north and California in the west. McLean has been a dinosaur buff since she was a child fan of Jurassic Park. She even held her wedding at the Houston Museum of Natural Science, home to several dino skeleton recreations. While working as a graphic designer, McLean began joining fossil excavations a few years ago, and with the help of a few professional paleontologist mentors, set up her own restoration venture called Big Sky Fossils. She quit her desk job to focus on her company full-time 7 months ago. First, she inserts a metal rod into the giant thigh bone for stability. Next, she gives it a good clean and uses a powerful glue to bind all the pieces together. Finally, McLean paints all the new parts the same color as the original. That's all the news we have for today. Thank you all for watching.